Happy Friday. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be in time and space. Kenny is here. So today we're supposed to be doing some PvP dogfighting, if all goes well. And if you'd like to join in, hey, the more the merrier. All right. But first, let me say, if you need a subscriber, I'm it. Help me out. Subscribe, like, and subscribe. Go into the chat room and type anything. As long as I can see you in the chat room, I can then click on your name and hit go to channel and immediately hit subscribe. Makes it so easy. So if you need a subscriber, I am it. And I could sure use one. So looks like we're good there. So if you are interested also in joining the dogfighting, if we can get this up and running here, then also that's a good reason to go into the chat room and say hello. So if Henning shows up here, then we will be going to a German server, and we search it. Let me go into the chat room here. DCS world is so old, it's so hard, to like switch. It's not new, so when you move your mouse around, you're either stuck inside of it, and if you move your mouse, if you select the mouse outside of it, then anytime your mouse is outside the window, you can lose control. Right? You might be flying, but buttons won't work at that point. Yeah, like your mouse has to be resident in the screen. And again, it's please, folks, create a new one. I mean, it's like Microsoft Flight Simulator. At some point, you reach the limit of what your engines can do, it seems. Maybe it's time to start from scratch. Anyway, maybe that's just asking too damn much. Okay, so in the chat room, I believe we're supposed to go to multiplayer, and what we're looking for is the 289. So if you up here in search, and again, this could change, but right now, to find the server we want, it's the 289th training. It looks like they have two servers now. This one's got the shorter ping. Let me click in that. Let me just do a test run in there. And look and see if either of the gentlemen we could be dogfighting is in there. If you know anything about DCS World, I don't. I'm completely new to this. But if there's a way to set up some sort of no-nonsense PvP room, is there an easier way to do this than... is there an easier way to create a room that has a really small map and we can just go head-to-head and not worry about all these other server things going on? Maybe that's another reason why I would like them to start over. But who am I? I'm not their clientele. I'm not their demographic. I'm definitely more Microsoft Flight Simulator. So what I want is meaningless. There is a setting in options which preloads terrain out to so many miles, and they said if you want to speed up your connection to servers, that if you lower that number, that can help you connect a lot faster. As you may have noticed or are noticing, it takes a significant amount of time to get connected to these servers, at least this one here. And I've been shortening that slider, and we seem to be doing a little bit better today. So that may be one of the ways to get things moving a little bit faster. Hopefully we're all going to be using SU-25s. That's what I would like to do. So that we're all on an even playing field. Oh, you won't be able to dogfight today? All right, well, yeah, I might be free tomorrow. So plans may change for the day because unless I'm going to learn how to set up my own room, because I know nothing about creating dogfights. Now it's not responding. Yeah, so it doesn't show that to you on my screen or on the screen. There it goes again. But it froze there for a moment. Oh, I'm so bummed. Well, I watched it today, but Brad Sucks did a live show last night or the night before. I've been out of it for the last couple of days, and I caught up with it today. Good stuff. Another great live performance. I would like to apologize somewhat. I mean, sometimes when doing these streams, especially when we're just doing normal flying, there's not a whole lot to talk about. And everybody's like, well, we'll talk about the news, talk about what's on your mind. Well, I should listen or try to listen to my father, his voice in my head saying, don't talk about politics and don't talk about religion. And with the way the world is going, I mean, sometimes it's very difficult to, again, do a show where we have long stretches of time where we're just staring at scenery, and I want to talk about something. And, so opening up Twitter and looking at headlines and all of a sudden, and then I'm ranting about things which, again, my opinions on politics and current affairs. And that really bothers a lot of people. And so I'm sorry if anything that I have said in the last month when doing these streams, when it comes to world of politics, current affairs, blah, 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 all the above, if I've offended you in any way. So my deepest apologies. It's we live in crazy times. We live in really strange times. Okay, so okay, all right. So just getting some advice from Henning. He's saying that if I wanted to, I can create one. And he says it's raining in this one right today for on their map. I didn't know that they had dynamic weather. So anyway, I'll try to stick to more enjoyable topics. At least I will try my best to stick to non-offending topics, but it doesn't matter really what you talk about. People get offended about everything. So if I just limited all my talk to like comic books, or what I'm watching on Netflix, people People will still find a way to get offended by anything, anything anybody says anymore. What do you mean you don't like that show? What do you mean? How, yeah, with the new movie. How dare you not like that movie? It's your fault. It's your fault. Should have supported it in the theater. My goodness. Well, let's take a look at it. Let's see, multiplayer. So, new server. Server name. Hideous Dogfight. SU-25 only. Password. Fight me. All lowercase. I don't know if this is gonna work, but let's see. Public server. Advanced. Show chat events. Kill, takeoff, landing, crash, ejecting, roll, permissions. Allow object export. Allow sensor export. What that is. Allow player export. Allow to change skins. Allow to change tail number. Allow to screenshot clients. Allow to voice chat. Allow trial only clients. Allow players pool. Resume manual. Resume on load. Resume with clients. Well, right at the moment, I would like it to be even. We don't have radar. I mean, you have a great advantage, so that doesn't create a level playing field if you can use the F-18 or the F-16 or whatever plane you have there. Right? I would only want to be flying against others that are in the default plane. I don't know if this is going to work or not. I don't know what an integrity check is. And yeah. I have no idea what I'm doing. I still have no idea what I'm doing. Campaigns? I have no idea. I'm probably gonna back out of here. Yeah. I may just have to go to War Thunder. Maybe they have a better, easier just to get in there and fight each other. Just a simple dogfight room. Like, hey, set up a dogfight room, click here. They don't make it easy. Just clicking start by itself just isn't working. So description. Like, just want to create a dogfight server. Well, let me start now. No. So you have to have something here in missions, I guess. No, this is something I know nothing about. I'm going to go ahead and back out. Nope, nope, nope. Just dogfight, PvP server. Ooh, newbie TTI cold starts dogfight 01. Well, yeah, but my cover art is up for the day and my show's up for the day, and this is what I was advertising, as I was advertising PvP today. So that's the plan. That's the plan. That's what's on the sign today. Free flight and practice. Even lamer dogfight server. Simpler options, just fooling around with that. Any read add-ons. Through the Inferno by Deadly Fishes is an endless dynamic and open world PvE experience. Do. That's fine. Oh, of course. Oh, that was the same for me yesterday. Something had come up, and at the last minute, I had to bail on my live stream. Hated doing that. Life happens. Life happens. Okay, so I can't find anything for just SU-25. Wolfpack noob training. Beginner friendly server, whether you're new to DCS multiplayer or just different airframe. This is a good no pressure place to start. Few mods like the Hercules available, but they're not required to join the server. Any comments, questions, issues, suggestions? Alt B brings up the briefing in flight. Use F10 menu to spawn targets. Air traffic control, use the same frequency as the in-game tower air traffic control for the area you're flying in. Example, Batami 260000, take can 16X. do. Fight. Not team kill. Well, what if it happens by accident? What if you... I mean, stuff happens. Do not eject, crash, abandon the plane halfway through the fight for a fresh one. Do land or stay for a guns fight. Da 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 da. Not disconnect, reconnect just to fix your score. It all sounds relatively reasonable. Xmas Cold War. That's a little too, that's a little too much stress for me right now. I'll be shooting people and I don't know who they are. So again, it looks like my guess is these are all the planes that are allowed, right? Zone A just guns, Zone B guns and our missiles. That sounds pretty neat. Pretty big lag. No rules. Fine. We're gonna golf. So yeah, it seems like these are like all the. It seems like reading these are all the planes that you can use in here. So they don't have it just by, as far as I know, just rooms that are dedicated to. Well, let's just try one. Let me go look in here. Let's go see what their server says and what the rooms look like. I don't get it enough yet. You know, I don't know that there's a. How do you go find a room where it's just SU-25s only? And it's just people that are beginning only. So when I was trying to set it up, I don't know what I'm doing, and there was no options just right there. Well, What planes do you want? It says, how many players do you want? Okay. But there's no options for then what plane should be allowed in this PvP. How big do you want the map to be? You know, again, this is way more professional. This is a way more professional community. They all know what they're doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Happy Friday to everybody. Okay, let's see what we can see here. Group 1v1. Any of this means I haven't seen the SU-25 yet at all. '27s, no '25s. No SU-25 stuff there. So, again, this is so dang difficult. Got its own languages and map. I don't care. Again, I wish they would set it up here. Again, I wish you could filter things by this. Map. How about just small? I don't know. Region, I don't care. But the filters and buttons that I do want don't exist. Yeah, it's... All right, well. Maybe today is the day, a good day to look into War Thunder. Yeah, you had told me that there are no small maps. Everything is huge and all these different server rooms, and I don't understand them at all. So... Well, the first thing I need to do then, if we're going to switch up today and do something completely different, is I've got to go back to the live stream description for the day. I've got to just change everything to, I don't know. Change everything to I don't know. I don't know. And I've got to blow out the thumbnail art. Today, I missed the live stream. They changed their times. And normally, the Microsoft Flight Simulator group does their live stream at 1 o'clock MST, and they changed it. So now it started 1 hour earlier, so couldn't get in on that for the live stream today, which was a real drag. That was my original intention for today. Okay, so I've changed everything in my title description to just be generic. So now, pardon me, that won't work. Still trying to get some of my live stream information changed. That DCS World logo. Pardon me, this will take me a moment. Go and turn this off. I will be right back. Now Photoshop's crashing. They have a big problem. I'm not sure what it is, man. But I'm not sure what it is. I've uninstalled it and reinstalled it a few times. but for whatever reason, it's generating bad temporary files. So every time you close Photoshop and you try to open it again, sometimes it'll just crash on you. And you have to go blow out all your temporary files and then reload it. So what I'm trying to do here, and what's taking me so damn long, is since I'm not doing dogfighting, I've got to go out and quickly change the description on the live stream to reflect that that's not what we're doing anymore. And I've got to quickly try to regenerate a new piece of cover art for the live stream, because I'm not going to be doing any dogfighting. I'll just do more basic training. Okay. Okay. Just got to export it now, put it up, and we're back in up and running. So according to my live stream count for this playlist for my Skydude live streams, it says that I'm at episode 127, but some days I would do 2 or 3 live streams and just do 127A, 127B, 127C, something like that. The actual count on my live stream playlist is 152. So this would be episode 153. Okay, so let's just overwrite this piece of artwork. Yes. Okay, that's done. Closing Photoshop. And now we go back to the YouTube. And change this. All right, and we're squared away. Let me just change it over here now. So much to do. Great. It is 41 minutes after the hour, and I will be back in a minute or two.
My brain broke and my mind is blown. I put on my
All right, all right, all right. Welcome back. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be in time and space. Kenny's here, episode 127 or so. And I had to do a stop the press and change things up. Aren't doing any dogfighting today. So just going to go back to doing some basic training. Learning how to get better at DCS World. So let's just start back down here with training again. And we'll just take it from the top. Hope you're having a good Friday. TGIF and all that. So, again, I said I needed to stop talking about certain subjects because they just make people angry. And when you're doing a lot of these flying missions, there's nothing to do but just, talk sometimes. And current affairs and world current affairs and politics and everything, usually on my mind. So that's what I like talking about. But people don't want you to talk about that stuff. And YouTube in particular, I'm not being critical. I understand. But they don't like you if you talk about certain things. And I understand. They want YouTube to be a fun, friendly place. Right? And they don't, yeah. They don't want you talking about certain things. And if you do talk about certain things, they're, they make things difficult for you.
Welcome to the SU-25T Frogfoot.
Hang on a second. Since we're doing this, let me turn up the audio again. So this is all helmet stuff. So let's turn up our helmet.
Also called the Grach, is a very capable ground attack aircraft that can destroy most anything on the battlefield. Before we start blowing things up, though, let's first learn how to start up this bird and taxi to the runway. The first thing I'll ask you to do is turn on the electrical power by pressing right shift and L.
Uno momento. Everything's going to be slow starting. There we go. Shift L.
With the electrical power now engaged, you can see that the heads-up display, or HUD, comes to life, as well as many instruments and cockpit lights. Before moving the aircraft, make sure that more than 3 minutes have elapsed in order to let the horizontal situation indicator gyro to align properly. Now that we have power, let's turn on the navigation lights by pressing right, Control, and L. Next, let's close the canopy by pressing left, Control, and C. Our next step is to start our two engines. Before you do so, make sure your throttle controller has a 0 power setting. Start the left engine by pressing right, Alt, and Home. With the left engine started, press right, Control, and Home to start the right engine. Off the lower left corner of the TV display is the engine gauge, with needles marked 1 and 2 for the two engines. When an engine is being started, one of the two green lights below the gauge will light. Once the light turns off, it indicates that the engine is ready for operation. In the lower left corner of the dash is an aircraft symbol that indicates the status of your flaps, landing gear, and air brake. Lower your flaps to the takeoff position by pressing left shift and F. We're now ready to taxi, so slowly increase the throttles by moving your throttle control forward or pressing page up. To reduce throttle, use your throttle controller or press page down. To use the wheel brakes, press W. Start rolling forward and turn to the left at the taxiway ahead. Press Z to steer left and press X to steer right.
All right, that's the flap indicator he was talking about there. Pardon me, I can't keep my head from not bobbing around. I need to put it in more dead zone. So you may have noticed that I'm using a head tracker.
Nice job. You're now heading in the right direction. Keep your taxi speed around 10 kilometers per hour. As you taxi, use small, smooth rudder corrections to keep you aligned on the center of the taxiway. At the fork, hang a right to reach the runway. As we taxi, you can go to external view by pressing F2 and return to the cockpit by pressing F1. You can zoom in and out using the keypad star and / keys. Rotate the views using the keypad directional keys. We've now reached the runway threshold. Taxi onto the runway to the right and align yourself down the length of it. Once aligned down the runway, increase thrust of both engines to maximum and use gentle inputs on the rudder, X and Z, to keep you tracking down the center line.
Make sure you're lined up good and make sure you understand the stuff about the nose wheel or using your rudder. Because if you just gun it and you start deviating left or right and can't compensate, you'll go off the runway and probably blow up. I know this from experience. Probably one of... probably not. Probably one of the only guys to botch a takeoff.
When your airspeed, as indicated in the top left corner of the HUD, indicates about 250 kilometers per hour, gently pull back on the controller and allow the aircraft to fly itself off the runway. Don't yank the controller back to force the aircraft into the air. As mentioned before, your airspeed in kilometers per hour is indicated in the top left corner of the HUD. In the top right-hand corner of the HUD is your altitude in meters. Between the altitude and speed indications is your heading tape. With positive climb established, raise the landing gear by pressing G. In the center of the HUD is the pitch and roll indication, and along the right side of the HUD is your pitch ladder and vertical velocity indication. Go ahead and raise the flaps by pressing left control and F.
Control and F.
This concludes this lesson on starting up the SU-25T, taxiing, and taking off. You can end the lesson now by pressing the escape key.
I wish I could figure out a way so when I do the zoom, so the camera, it's tracking me leaning in, right? So let's say you want to really look at the HUD, but it doesn't. It's not zooming the HUD. But if I use my mouse wheel, that's not really doing it either. All right, so the flaps did go up. Okay. Okay.
Welcome to this lesson on the basic flying and navigation of the Su-25T. This lesson will teach you how to get from point A to point Z and all points in between. I currently have the lesson in active pause. If you wish, you can turn on cockpit lighting by pressing L. Your airspeed is indicated in the top left corner of the HUD. The horizontal line below the airspeed indication with the caret below it indicates your acceleration or deacceleration. If the caret is on the left side of the line, you are deaccelerating. If it is in the center, your speed is not changing, and if it is on the right side of the line, you are accelerating. The smaller number above is your set airspeed for that leg of the route when you're in navigation mode. Press the spacebar to continue. Your altitude in meters is indicated in the top right corner of your HUD. An R to the right indicates it is radar altitude or height above ground and not barometric, height above sea level altitude. The smaller number above is your desired barometric altitude for that leg of the route. Press the spacebar to continue. You'll probably notice a circle in the center of the HUD. This provides you course steering to the next waypoint. By flying the aircraft to align the circle in the center of the bank and pitch indicator in the center of the HUD, you will reach your next destination on the course line. The course line is the direct line between two waypoints. Press the spacebar to continue. In the bottom center of your front dash is a horizontal situation indicator, or HSI, that looks like a compass. The yellow needle points directly to your next waypoint, and the top left field indicates the range in kilometers to that waypoint. The top right field indicates your course bearing to reach the next waypoint. The double white needles points to your course intercept. When you're on course to the next waypoint, both the yellow and white needles will align. Press the spacebar to continue. Ahead of you are a series of gates to fly through. Fly through the first gate directly ahead of you. You can push the control stick forward to push the nose down and dive, or pull back the stick to raise the nose and climb. These inputs control your elevator. Use the throttle, or page up and page down, control your thrust. Try to keep your airspeed around 620 kilometers per hour. Press the spacebar when you're ready, and I will unpause the lesson. Note that when you pass through a gate, the next one's sequence will become larger if it's rather far away. If you get too fast, reduce the throttle and toggle your air brakes by pressing B.
All right, yeah, we are speeding up, so let's slow down a little bit. A nice train passing us.
The next gate is above you and to the left. To change your heading, use your aircraft's ailerons to roll the aircraft to the left by moving your control stick to the left and then gently pulling back on the stick until you are aligned with the next gate. The next two gates are below you and to the right. This time, roll the aircraft to the right and lower your nose to fly through the gates. Fly through the next gate directly ahead. As you go faster, your nose will want to rise, and as you go slower, the nose will want to fall. To keep your nose level, try using the trim. To trim the nose up, press right control and period. To trim the nose down, press right control and semicolon.
If you have like a Sidewinder joystick with a trigger and a thumb button, you might want to try that because you're constantly making adjustments to your pitch trim, and it can be a little bit cumbersome for me anyway.
Through the gates ahead. As mentioned in the previous lesson, you can also move your nose side to side using the rudder called yaw. Yaw left by pressing Z and yaw right by pressing X.
So you might find it easier to set your trim up and down to your trigger and your thumb. But whatever works best for you, whatever makes you most comfortable, that's the most important thing I'm finding is make sure the buttons that you're going to use a lot, you're comfortable with.
In the lower center of the HUD, you can see the range indication to the next waypoint.
Ish can.
In the lower right portion of the HUD is the next waypoint number, in this case, 15. You have several autopilot modes that can be quite useful during long flights. These include altitude hold, left alt and 1, altitude and roll hold, left alt and 2, level flight, left alt and 3, barometric altitude hold, left alt and 4, radar altitude hold, left alt and 5, route follow, left alt and 6. You can also toggle route follow mode by pressing A and altitude hold by pressing H. Let's try route follow mode that will automatically fly our flight plan. Press left alt and 6. Good. The aircraft is now under autopilot control. This concludes this lesson. You can practice using some of the autopilot modes listed below, or you can end the lesson now by pressing the escape key.
Okay. Those will definitely come in handy. Well, I think in the next lesson I'll talk about how to switch using the number one key, right? Yeah, that switches to landing mode. One en route mode, landing mode. What about return? There's return. A. The return mode is supposed to take you 10 miles outside. 10 miles outside of a runway. And once you hit that point, it should automatically go to landing, and that's probably now what we're going to move on to, if I remember correctly. All right, Henning, you have a great night, and yeah, maybe we'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Head back here, landing. Easy landing.
In this lesson, we're going to learn how to navigate to an airfield and land on it. There are 3 navigation modes that we'll be using: en route, return to base, and landing. These submodes are selected automatically at the appropriate points along the assigned flight path, but they can also be cycled manually. In this lesson, we'll use the automatic method. I currently have the lesson paused as I explain some of the finer points. Press the spacebar to continue. What we'll learn in this lesson is how to navigate to a waypoint using en route mode, switch to return mode automatically, and then switch to landing mode automatically. We're currently in en route mode as indicated in the bottom left corner of the HUD. This mode allows us to fly from waypoint to waypoint in sequence automatically, as we did in the prior navigation lesson. However, in this lesson, we'll try manual selection. Our current waypoint is 0, our starting point, as indicated in the bottom right corner of the HUD with a range of 0. Press left control and tilde to manually select waypoint 1. Good. You will now see that waypoint 1 is selected with a range of 8.6 kilometers. Press left control and tilde again to select waypoint 2. You can see that waypoint 2 is 15.5 kilometers from us. As we learned in the prior lesson, we can see the direct heading to the waypoint is indicated by the yellow arrow on the HSI, and the twin white arrows indicate our path to fly the course line. Directly above the HSI is the Attitude Director Indicator, or ADI. This is a sphere with one hemisphere white and one hemisphere black. In the center of the ADI is a white aircraft symbol. This aircraft symbol stays stationary in pitch, but will rotate as you maneuver and roll. The ADI ball will move in pitch in relation to the aircraft symbol. When the aircraft symbol center is over black, your nose is below the horizon. If the aircraft symbol center is over white, your nose is pointing above the horizon. Press the space bar to continue.
Yeah, you can see the waypoint 2. The heading of the waypoint is indicated directly above the HSI is the Altitude Director Indicator, ADI. Sphere with a hemisphere with blah blah blah. We can see the, let me go back up. We can see the direct heading to the waypoint as indicated by the yellow arrow. And the twin white arrows indicate our path by the course. So I'm trying to understand if we're shooting for... Damn it, it's hard with this head mounted thing to keep my head in one spot. I'm gonna have to try to fine tune that a little bit more. Damn it. So I'm trying to determine if we're supposed to fly 50 degrees or 70 degrees. Course line, as I understand, would be, I guess, the radial. So let's try to fly 50 first. See. Let's see what it does when he wants us to hit Alt 6. Press the space bar.
In the center of the ADI are two yellow lines to help assist you reach the waypoint via the course line. The course line is a direct line between two waypoints. The vertical line indicates your required azimuth steering to reach and maintain the course line. When the yellow vertical line is centered on the ADI, you are flying on or to the course line. If the vertical line is off to either side, put your stick in that direction until the vertical line centers on the ADI and adjust your roll to keep it centered. The yellow horizontal line indicates your elevation course steering. When centered on the ADI, you are flying at or to the set course altitude for that waypoint. If the yellow line is on the lower half of the ADI, push the stick forward until the yellow horizontal line centers on the ADI and adjust pitch to keep it centered. Conversely, if the yellow horizontal line is above the center line of the ADI, pull back on the stick until the line centers. Along the top and left side of the ADI are your heading and elevation deviation scales. The more the lines are from center, the greater you are off the direct path to reach the waypoint. Let's practice this as we fly to waypoint 2. I will unpause the lesson when you press the spacebar. You will first need to intercept the course line between waypoints 1 and 2. Note that the ADI steering bars and the HUD navigation circle provide us the same information. Fly the aircraft to center the ADI steering bars by adjusting the pitch and roll to keep the bars centered on the ADI. Or you can fly to keep the navigation circle on the HUD in the very center of the pitch and bank indicator. The choice is yours. Also remember that the assigned airspeed and altitude for the waypoint are indicated as smaller digits above your current airspeed and altitude. Fly to waypoint 2.
So it says it is, yeah, it's 60, but what are we? We are at 5. Does that work? See, and the needle on that one shows it to the that says the course line, but then the yellow needle is still over at and it's moving hard because here. Now we're going to the next. So now it's behind us. Okay, so both needles are centered up on the HSI. Oh, you. Right altitude, right direction, 12 miles. Now we're moving away. 12.9. Huh, we should be, Alt 6 makes us fly the route, but it's making us fly away from the route. Go back to waypoint 3. Well, that's interesting. Now we're moving away from it again. 13. That makes no sense to me. Back to route 0. We started. So in the top one, in the ADI, you're supposed to keep it in the center, but way over to the right, I got to get my head around these controls. Yeah, I could just do it up here in the HUD and follow the circle, but I really want to get my head around these steam gauges. So I'm trying to figure out what the autopilot is chasing here. Now he's in the middle of the bar again. And the top bar is centered up. In 3 miles. I don't understand why the autopilot isn't more aggressively going towards turning to the starboard side. Right? You've got the yellow needle and it's completely deviated over to the right, but he's still just going forward as opposed to chasing the needle. In the HSI, everything's slowly starting to center. I just don't understand why it's not more aggressively going to starboard. What the hell? Great.
Mission failure. Press escape to end the lesson.
Sorry I didn't have my hand on the joystick. I was watching gauges. Huh. hate cheesing out. I feel like if I just am using the autopilot, then sure, I could just hit the autopilot, do Alt 6s, and just get to where I need to go. Call it a day. But that doesn't help me any, because I'm not getting my head around the gauges. And this is particularly going to come into focus when we have to do the night landing.
In this lesson, we're going to learn how to navigate to an airfield and land on it. There are 3 navigation modes that we'll be using: en route, return to base, and landing. These submodes are selected automatically at the appropriate points along the assigned flight path, but they can also be cycled manually. In this lesson, we'll use the automatic method. I currently have the lesson paused as I explain some of the finer points. Press the spacebar. What we'll learn in this lesson is how to navigate to a waypoint using en route mode, switch to return mode automatically, and then switch to landing mode. Good. You will now see that waypoint 1 is selected with a range of 8.6 kilometers. Press left. You can see that waypoint 2 is 15.5 kilometers from us. As we learned in the prior lesson, we can see the direct heading to the waypoint is indicated by the yellow arrow on the HSI, and the twin white arrows indicate our path to fly the course line. Directly above the HSI is the Attitude Director Indicator, or ADI. This is a sphere with one hemisphere white and one hemisphere black. In the center of the ADI is a white aircraft symbol. This aircraft symbol stays stationary in pitch, but will rotate as you maneuver and roll. The ADI ball will move in pitch in relation to the aircraft symbol. When the aircraft symbol center is over black, your nose is below the horizon. If the aircraft symbol center is over white, your nose is pointing above the horizon. Press the spacebar to continue. In the center of the ADI are 2 yellow lines to help assist you reach the waypoint via the course line. The course line is a direct line between 2 waypoints. The vertical line indicates your required azimuth steering to reach and maintain the course line. When the yellow vertical line is centered on the ADI, you are flying on or to the course line. If the vertical line is off to either side, put your stick in that direction until the vertical line centers on the ADI and adjust your roll to keep it centered. The yellow horizontal line indicates your elevation course steering. When centered on the ADI, you are flying at or to the set course altitude for that waypoint. If the yellow line is on the lower half of the ADI, push the stick forward until the yellow horizontal line centers on the ADI and adjust pitch to keep it centered. Conversely, if the yellow horizontal line is above the center line of the ADI, pull back on the stick. You'll first need to intercept the course line between waypoints 1 and 2. Note that the ADI steering bars in the HUD navigation circle provide us the same information. Fly the aircraft to center the ADI steering bars by adjusting the pitch and roll to keep the bars centered on the ADI. Or you can fly to keep the navigation circle on the HUD in the very center of the pitch and bank indicator. The choice is yours. Also remember that the assigned airspeed and altitude for the waypoint are indicated as smaller digits above your current airspeed and altitude. Fly to waypoint 2.
Okay, so to waypoint 2 then, it's saying... Then the ones down here are to the course line at 14 miles. Isn't that interesting? The upper ADI shows course line off to our left shoulder, but the HSI, the indicator, to 70 degrees. And we're facing 3 degrees. Let me try turning this way. This is, we're supposed to be turning to the course line. There's 70 degrees. Okay, so we have those two centered up. Mostly. But then the course line is over here. So I'm using roll to keep the top needle facing the top needle now. Be way down to 1,400 feet. That's saying 3 miles to it. Yeah. No, now we're going away from it. This is so frustrating. Go back to 2. Only 2 miles. And it's centering up on the double. But now it's going over. I don't get it, folks. Now we're moving away from it again. Instead of going to waypoint 2. Well, let's see what it's doing here. Yeah, you got me. We should be going to 2. First follow, Alt 6. And we're moving away. Nope, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. It was now in return mode, hitting waypoint 2. Now that one's 500 miles away. That makes no sense. Back to en route mode. Waypoint 2. And we're flipping over.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
That makes no sense to me, folks.
Mission failure. Press escape to end the lesson.
Crazy. I don't get it. It makes sense in the HUD. I don't understand the needles. I don't get it. Normally, like when you're doing VOR to VOR, you're tracking a radial. And so you need to fly to the radial and then fly the radial. Well, I can't tell what I'm chasing here. I don't understand which needle I'm supposed to be following. And then the autopilot's not doing what it's supposed to be doing. It said cycle through your waypoints and hit Alt-6 to follow the route. But it's like following a reverse course route. So that's what I am trying to accomplish in my head. So again, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, when you're doing VOR to VOR, which basically this is, it's point to point, waypoint to waypoint. And the path line is the line between those two waypoints. Okay, but you have to fly to the line and then make an adjustment to go left or right or whichever direction on that line. But the definitions they're using and the information that I'm reading in the dials, I'm not understanding which one is pointing to which. And the way he explains it, it's not making sense in my head. I get it.
In this lesson,
but
we're going to learn how to navigate to an airport.
But I don't get it.
There are 3 navigation modes that we'll be using: en route, return to base, and landing. These submodes are selected automatically at the appropriate points along the assigned flight path, but they can also be cycled manually. In this lesson, we'll use the automatic method. I currently have the lesson paused as I explain some of the finer points. Press the spacebar to continue. What we'll learn in this lesson is how to navigate to a waypoint using en route mode, switch to return mode automatically, and then switch to landing mode automatically. We're currently in en route mode as indicated in the bottom left corner of the HUD. This mode allows us to fly from waypoint to waypoint in sequence automatically, as we did in the prior navigation lesson. However, in this lesson, we'll try manual selection. Our current waypoint is 0, our starting point, as indicated in the bottom right corner of the HUD with a range of 0. Press left control and tilde to manually select waypoint. Good. You will now see that waypoint 1 is selected with a range of 8.6 kilometers. Press left control and tilde again to select waypoint 2. You can see that waypoint 2 is 15.5 kilometers from us. As we learned in the prior lesson, we can see the direct heading to the waypoint is indicated by the yellow arrow on the HSI, and the twin white arrows indicate our path to fly the course line. Directly above the HSI is the Attitude Director Indicator, or ADI. This is a sphere with one hemisphere white and one hemisphere black. In the center of the ADI is a white aircraft symbol. This aircraft symbol stays stationary in pitch, but will rotate as you maneuver and roll. The ADI ball will move in pitch in relation to the aircraft symbol. When the aircraft symbol center is over black, your nose is below the horizon. If the aircraft symbol centers over white, your nose is pointing above the horizon. Press the space bar to continue.
All right. So then, okay. The direct heading to the waypoint is indicated by the yellow arrow. The direct heading to the waypoint. Starting this map, this head tilt. So the direct heading to the waypoint is 50. And then the twin white arrows indicate our path to the waypoint. Somebody want to explain that to me? I need somebody who's an expert at this to just make me get it, because I don't get it. The yellow line is direct heading to the waypoint, and the double head is the course line that we need to fly. So let's try that. So then we need to be, again, flying 70. I'm just going to actually, in this case, I am going to just turn on Alt 6.
In the center of the ADI are two yellow lines that help assist you reach the waypoint via the course line. The course line is a direct line between two waypoints. The vertical line indicates your required azimuth steering to reach and maintain the course line. When the yellow vertical line is centered on the ADI, you are flying on or to the course line. If the vertical line is off to either side, put your stick in that direction until the vertical line centers on the ADI and adjust your roll to keep it centered. The yellow horizontal line indicates your elevation course steering. When centered on the ADI, you are flying at or to the set course altitude for that waypoint. If the yellow line is on the lower half of the ADI, push the stick forward until the yellow horizontal
hit the space bar
line between waypoints 1 and 2. Note that the ADI steering bars in the HUD navigation circle provide us the same information. Fly the aircraft to center the ADI steering bars by adjusting the pitch and roll to keep the bars centered on the ADI. Or you can fly to keep the navigation circle on the HUD in the very center of the pitch and bank indicator. The choice is yours. Also remember that the assigned airspeed and altitude for the waypoint are indicated as smaller digits above your current airspeed and altitude. Fly to waypoint 2.
Okay, so he's flying to the port. So okay, and taking us down. Speed back up. So now he needs to be flying a course setting of 60. My God, this plane, man.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
Mission failure. Press escape to end the lesson.
My Lord. This is killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. And it's me. It's me being thick-headed. Because the plane does exactly opposite of what I think it's going to do when it unpauses. The plane immediately turns hard to port, right? All the arrows that we're looking at are going the other direction. Why the plane then turns hard to port and then he starts directing.
We're going to learn how to navigate to
space bar,
land on it.
Space bar.
In this lesson is how to navigate to waypoint
left
route mode. Good. You will now see that waypoint 1 is selected with a range of 8.6. You can see that waypoint 2 is 15.5 kilometers from us. As we learned in the prior lesson, we can see the direct heading to the waypoint is indicated.
Come on, skip.
The yellow arrow on the HSI and the twin white arrows indicate our path to fly the course line. Directly above the HSI is the Attitude Director Indicator, or ADI. This is a sphere with one hemisphere white and one hemisphere black.
Got it. Move.
The center of the ADI is a white aircraft symbol. This aircraft symbol stays stationed. In the center of the ADI are two yellow lines to help assist you reach the waypoint via the course line. The course line is a direct line between two waypoints. The vertical, you'll first need to intercept the course line between waypoints 1 and 2. Note that the ADI steering bars and the HUD navigation circle provide us the same information. Fly the aircraft to center the ADI steering bars by adjusting the pitch and roll to keep the bars centered on the ADI. Or you can fly to keep the navigation circle on the HUD in the very center of the pitch and bank indicator. The choice is yours. Also remember that the assigned airspeed and altitude for the waypoint are indicated as smaller digits above your current airspeed and altitude. Fly to waypoint 2.
Okay, now, the ADI needle is over to our left. Okay, but now let's look at the HSI. The yellow line is supposed to be the direct heading to the course. Is that the radial? Did it intercept the radial? The radial is still at Let's unpause it again. Alt 3 to level out. Alt 6 to fly the route. This damn thing can't do two things at once. All right, it's rolling to center up the needle. Okay, it's centered the needle mostly. Now the needle is deviating to the starboard side. Hard. And we're supposed to be at 1,920 feet as opposed to 3,000 feet. 5.6 miles. There it goes. Autopilot again. Slow the hell down. Brake. Four 4.2 miles. Now the HSI is all the way to the right. I mean, to the left again. He's centering up again, but our HSI needles are way over to the port again. Now we're past it, and now we're adding miles again. It didn't automatically change to en route 3. I'm waiting to see what it does when it hits 10 miles. Nothing. Mm-mm. Here we go, crashing again.
Pull up.
Mission failure. Press escape to end the lesson.
Do. All right. Let's see to get a cursor. Can I get a cursor? My kingdom for a cursor. I think we need to go into YouTube. And maybe somebody can explain navigation.
Hello and welcome back to the Reapers. So today we're looking at the Su-25T. So this is the plane that you get free when you download DCS World. It's what you get everyone gets started in, and therefore it's important that we cover it. So today we're looking at navigation. So this aircraft is what we call a Flaming Cliffs 3 aircraft. Therefore its interactivity is relatively simple. You control it with keys on the keyboard rather than actually pressing switches down here to work systems and typing in codes and stuff like that. By the way, to get this cursor up that I'm pointing around, left, alt and C turns it on and off. Okay, but all the dials and gauges, everything still works, and we're going to use them to do our navigation. So what type of navigation do we have? There are various types of navigations that aircraft use: ADF systems, TACAN systems, INS systems, satellite systems. This one uses INS, Inertial Navigation System. This is a system that is basically all within the aeroplane. It's a box, it's in the aeroplane. It doesn't reach out and talk to other stations or anything like that. It's all contained within. And it works on the idea of waypoints. These waypoints are pre-programmed.
Hold on a moment.
Pre-programmed into the INS system when the aircraft is on the ground. That's simulated in DCS by using the mission editor and adding a certain amount of waypoints. So that's what I've done. So we're going to look on F10 and look at today's mission. There we are. Let's click on us. You can see we've got waypoint 0, waypoint 1, waypoint 2, waypoint 3. We're going to navigate our way between those waypoints, which will take about 10 minutes or so. At that point, we're going to use the next type of navigation, which is ILS. ILS is different to INS. It's a system on the aircraft that reaches out and communicates with a system on the runway at MOSDOC, where we're going to be landing. There is a ILS system on the runway or near the runway at MOSDOC, and it's going to fire a beam of radiation out in this direction here. Let me get my ruler, like that. Longitude and latitude, but also in elevation as well. So it's a three-dimensional beam, if you like. And
One moment.
the glide slope, the desired.
OBS is having a problem accessing that window. I really need to get that window. Get out of there. DCS is so frustrating. Again, moving in and out of the screens, it just needs a complete rewrite, folks, for 2024. It's just the worst.
Pre-programmed into the INS system when the aircraft is on the ground. That's simulated in DCS by using the mission editor and adding a certain amount of waypoints. So that's what I've done. So we're going to look on F10 and look at today's mission. There we are.
Unbelievable.
You can see we've got waypoint 0, waypoint 1, waypoint 2, waypoint 3.
So I have the window open, okay? It's the only browser window open. Now, when I try to select that window, more. Now that window does not want to come up. Only window open. So I had to create a whole new window capture. enough, right? All right. Freak's sake, man.
Brake on. And the glide slope's coming up. We're going to rise our nose now to meet it. A little bit high. And the plane doesn't appear to be going to turn it on and off. Okay, but all the dials and gauges, everything still works, and we're going to use them to do our navigation. So what type of navigation do we have? There are various types of navigations that aircraft use: ADF systems, TACAN systems, INS systems, satellite systems. This one uses INS, Inertial Navigation System. This is a system that is basically all within the aeroplane. It's a box, it's in the aeroplane. It doesn't reach out and talk to other stations or anything like that. It's all contained within. And it works on the idea of waypoints. These waypoints are pre-programmed into the INS system when the aircraft is on the ground. That's simulated in DCS by using the mission editor and adding a certain amount of waypoints. So that's what I've done. So we're going to look on F10 and look at today's mission. There we are. Let's click on us. You can see we've got waypoint 0, waypoint 1, waypoint 2, waypoint 3. We're going to navigate our way between those waypoints, which will take about 10 minutes or so. At that point, we're going to use the next type of navigation, which is ILS. ILS is different to INS. It's a system on the aircraft that reaches out and communicates with a system on the runway at Mozdok, where we're going to be landing. There is a ILS system on the runway or near the runway at Mozdok, and it's going to fire a beam of radiation out in this direction here. Let me get my ruler, like that. Longitude and latitude, but also in elevation as well. So it's a three-dimensional beam, if you like, and it's simulating the glide slope, the desired glide slope for an approach onto that runway.
Now that I understand in Microsoft Flight Simulator terms with general aviation.
Okay, and when it comes to the ILS, the aircraft will handshake with the ILS station, or will actually just receive information from the ILS station to guide us, give us indicators to guide us down the path. So before we get to ILS, we're going to do the INS part, which is, like I said, dealing with the waypoints. Now these waypoints are three-dimensional, so they have longitude, they have latitude, and they also have altitude. So if you like, they're a three-dimensional point in space. So we're going to navigate between 1, 2, and 3 at the correct altitude. To I like to think of them as gates. So there's a gate there, there's a gate there, there's a gate there, and you want to fly through them. Now the waypoints, just as important as the waypoints are the course lines. So between 0 and 1 is a course line. It's that dotted line there. So not only do we want to fly to number 1, we want to stick on this course line. There may be several reasons for that, mission dependent, but it's important that we stick on that course line. So say we were out here, where my mouse cursor is, we could head towards waypoint 1 like that, but it wouldn't be any good to us because we really want to go along this course line, and that's part of the tutorial that we'll be dealing with. So that's back into the cockpit. Let's look at our instruments. First, we've got the HUD up here, which we'll go through in a second. Secondly, we've got the ADI, Artificial Horizon, we'll be dealing with shortly as well. And thirdly, we've got the HSI. These give us various informations for elevation and azimuth. Their functions overlap slightly, and they're designed so that if I were to, for instance, to lose my HUD for some reason, I could still navigate everything perfectly with my ADI and my HSI. And again, if the HSI broke, I could use my HUD. So there are kind of multiple redundancies in there. So first, let's look at the HUD. Now, before we do that, let's look at the keys we're going to be using. These are universal keys that everyone has. First of all, navigations mode, the 1 key. Second is previous waypoint, which you can bind a key to on the keyboard. And thirdly, next waypoint, again, where you can bind a key to. Right, so let's jump to the HUD quickly. So let's imagine that we were in air-to-ground mode because we've just been doing some bombing. So the first thing we want to do is press the 1 key to get to navigation mode. This is navigation mode. A quick look around the screen. There is our current speed, IAS kilometers per hour. There is our desired speed for the selected waypoint, 580 clicks. There is our current altitude. I forget whether it's radar or barometric. I'll figure that out in a second, but essentially that's in meters. here is our desired altitude for the selected waypoint. Here's a heading strip. I'm not going to go through the whole HUD because I've done that in a separate video, just looking at the navigation information. Here is the type of navigation mode we've got selected. Currently it's ENR on route. We'll go through that in a second. Here is the distance from ourselves to the current waypoint, and here is the currently selected waypoint. Here, this is what I call the steering circle. This is a guide that basically guides you towards the selected waypoint in terms of elevation and azimuth. So what we're going to be doing shortly is that's the heading of our aircraft there, where that cross is. We're going to be maneuvering so that cross is essentially in the middle of that circle, or should I say the circle encompasses the cross. Then we will be heading towards the waypoint. So let's have a quick play with the nav mode. So I'm going to be pausing and unpausing throughout this. Just note it is quite hard to see the HUD against the white cloud, so I will be zooming in. It's complete whiteout today. I've done this so it forces me to use my instruments. I cannot use my eyes. When it comes to landing, we're going to be using these instruments only. And when it comes to the ILS system for landing, then that's only required when there's bad visibility. So when a situation like this, when I can't see the runway, if it was good visibility, you wouldn't need to use the ILS, and you could just do a visual landing. So let's look through the different navigation modes. So I'm going to keep pressing the 1 key. I'll press it there, and it's cycled to RTN, return mode. This return mode will basically vector you to an airbase, and it will not take you to the runway. It will instead take you to 10 miles off the approach. So this runway here, again, I think it's 26. So we'd be interested in this RTN. So the RTN would take us to where I'm drawing a line out to here, 10 miles off of the approach. That's where the return would take us to. And I can cycle through different runways with my next waypoint and previous waypoint, as we'll try now. You can see we're in return mode, and we're cycling through different airfields. And you can see a number down there symbolising the different airfields. So that's airfield 17 we've got there, and that's the distance to that particular RTM point. I don't have a list of airports. There will be a list of airports to what that number corresponds with. Okay, let's press 1 again. Now it's taken it to landing mode. There's another word for ILS mode. This is going to take us, it's going to guide us not to the RTM point, but to the actual threshold of the runway. And again, we do the same thing. We can cycle through the different airports with next waypoint and previous waypoint. You can see that one I've selected is 200 kilometers away. Back to there. Okay, we'll go through that in a bit more detail when it comes to the ILS. Let's press 1 again. So that is just basic navigation mode with no actual mode selected. You can see there's no mode there selected. And let's press it once more. And on route mode. So on route mode is basically waypoint navigation. So RTN took us to the approach point of a base. Landing took us to the actual threshold of the runway. En route mode takes us between waypoints. And remember, we've got our waypoints as set up here. Right, so that's the HUD covered for now. We'll go through a bit more detail when we're actually doing it. Now let's look at our ADI. ADI is here. This is our artificial horizon. You can see there is our plane. My wings are slightly turned to the right. There's the center of my plane there, that dot there. And what we're interested in is these two lines, the yellow lines, that line there and that line there. Now, when we come to use ILS, these would be called the localizer, that one there, and the glide slope here. They're not called that in on-route mode when we're using our INS navigation. They are just azimuth line and altitude line. So this one here will be guiding us towards the correct azimuth. Azimuth means left and right. To get to the selected waypoint. So let's just pretend that.
But I thought we were supposed to get to the damn course line.
That would mean
we don't. I don't get it. Are we supposed to be flying to the course line or directly to the thing?
And as we turn to right, that line would then slowly center. When it's center, it means we're on the.
All right, I'll shut up and keep watching, Professor.
We can tell by this.
I'm sorry.
We are heading towards the waypoint in terms of azimuth. This is the altitude line. What it's saying to us is that the altitude for where we want to be at the waypoint is above where we are at the moment. So what we'd have to do is increase our altitude. This line would then come down until it's centered.
Got it. That I understand.
Altitude. When the lines are crossed in the center, you know that you're on the exact heading and altitude to the waypoint. So that's
to waypoint, not to course line.
This is like a top-down view, if you like.
I'll shut up. Sorry, Professor.
but it has got more information. So the selected waypoint, as selected in the HUD, the distance is shown there, 14.5 kilometers or 13.5, can't quite read that. That is the 12 o'clock position, so that is where our nose is pointing. The green line here, this end of the green line, is the heading for the waypoint. So the waypoint is ever so slightly off to our right. The waypoint, what have we got selected? Sorry, I forgot to say that is our distance to the waypoint, and that is the selected waypoint there. So we've currently got waypoint 0 selected. Okay, so waypoint 0, these are the ends that we're interested in. That fooled me. Waypoint 0 is actually behind us, as you can see there, because we've passed it. These are the ends that we're interested in. You can see it's actually behind us, and that is green one. That green line is that indicator to the heading to that waypoint 0. This white one here is slightly different. It's a course indicator. Okay, so just remember that the green line,
that's what we're trying to get to,
heading to the selected waypoint. The course line tells us whether we're on this course, the dotted line, or not. So there are two different things it's telling us, and we will go into that further in a second.
Thank you, Professor.
What we have to do is select the correct waypoint, which is going to be waypoint 1, that's our next waypoint, and navigate to it using the various modes. So unpause. So first waypoint, we're going to use the next waypoint button, press that, and you can see it's waypoint 1 selected now, and it's 17 kilometers away. And we're going to orientate ourselves. So for this waypoint, we're going to use the HUD solely to find the waypoint. So what we're going to do is pitch our aeroplane up and to the left when we want to get this circle to match on our heading indicator, our heading cross there. So up we go. All the time we can see the distance going down, 13.4, 13.3, and importantly the altitude. Now we've dropped, probably while I was yapping away, we've dropped a lot of altitude, and you can see we're way below the desired altitude of that. That's where the waypoint is, so that's why it's asking us to climb up so much. The speed of 600 clicks per hour IAS it wants is not so important at the moment, unless it had some particular importance, so I'm not going to worry about the speed. Off we go again. Have to put the power up because we're climbing, and now it wants us to descend, so it's just leveling us out just in time basically for the waypoint. I think it's got a little bit confused there. Oh, we'll follow the circle anyway, I'm sure it knows what it's doing. 9 kilometers now, and it wants us up again. Up we go, and down again. It can be a little fiddly. Until you've got it perfectly centered, it can be a little fiddly. A little bit more power on. 6 kilometers. We're way below the desired 1,500 meters. I don't know why it's the circle's guiding us so low. It may be a bug, or I may have done something wrong, but let's stick with it for the time being.
That's how I feel all the time.
And we're about to hit the waypoint. And 0 onto waypoint 2. You can see it automatically selected us onto waypoint 2 there. We're 20 kilometers away. We're still in on route mode, and we've got the information. Now, I'm not sure why. For some reason, it guided us a little lower than... oh, I see. It's because this is a radar altimeter. Right. It's because we've got lower to the ground. It switches to radar altimeter here, and this here is a barometric reading. So that's why that was differing from that. Nothing I can do about that. It's just because I set the waypoints quite low, so that's fine. All right, so that was how to guide to the waypoint using the guiding circle. Next, we're going to use the steam gauges to get to the next waypoint. So I'm going to press L to turn the lights on. And I'm going to deliberately, if we pause there, what I'm going to do is deliberately go off the course line so that you can see the course line start to deviate on our instruments. So I'm going to purposefully just head in this direction for a little bit. Our altitude, we're going to be using this line here for our altitude. Remember that this number and this mode won't match because that's in radar mode, that's in barometric mode. Okay, let's see if we've come off the course line now. Yeah, we've come off the course line nicely. So what we're going to get is an indication not only to waypoint 2, but how to get back on that course and then over to waypoint 2.
Thank you. Yep.
So let's have a little look at what we've got. So we've got our ADI. Our ADI is telling us we're slightly above the altitude where we should be. We need to head down a bit, so we'll do that. It's also telling us that we need to head left here, which we will do. It's also telling us that currently the direction to the heading to the next waypoint, number 2, is there. So we'll need to drag that to the center. More importantly, that there has been some deviation. So this here is our course deviation, our course line, and you can see that it differs from the heading line to the waypoint. If it's differing like that, that means that we're off the course line. So what we're going to want to do is get those two lines, those 2 pointers to marry up. As well as that, we want them at the 12 o'clock position. Okay, so that can take a little doing. So let's start doing it. We'll also be glancing up at the HUD just for our speed and altitude, which is going to be useful. So we want to head down a bit. Okay, altitude's good on the ADI now. Let's level out. Okay, and we're heading left. Now we're going to have to head quite violently left because to drag our course line on our HSI across, so we're going to purposefully head too far left now. And what we're going to do is try and marry up on the HSI the course line, which is the white line, with the green line, which is the heading line. And I hope I've got enough distance to my waypoint to do this. We'll just have to see how it goes.
Well, how do you know when you're over the course line?
And we're a little bit high on the ADI, so we're going to come down in altitude a little bit. And you can start to see on the HSI now our two lines are marrying up. You can see those two are about to marry up. And that means that we're getting back closer to this course line. And we haven't got long to get this corrected, so what we're going to have to do is correct fairly quickly to waypoint 2. So I'm going to start turning right now. I'm going to drag both those HSI needles to the 12 o'clock position. I'm going to turn that violently now. And perfect. You can see now, I'm going to just pause there. We've managed to get the course line, which is the white line, perfectly in line with the heading line, which is the green one, all at the 12 o'clock position. So I'm on the course line, I'm on the right heading, everything's good. Concentrating on that so much that I've messed up this. So what I'm going to need to do now is increase my level out and increase my altitude. Quite substantially. And you can see that ADI altitude line coming down, and altitude is now bang on. Level out there. Okay, that is ascended. Ever so slightly, we've got to go ever so slightly to the left. The ADI course guidance line there. Want us left. And I've lost altitude again. This can be very...
All right, let's try something. Thank you, Professor. Really, truly. I think I'm starting to get it. I guess I'm having a tough time getting to the course line. So if you let me get back over here to DCS World, and I'll show you what's happening to me here and where I am failing miserably. Okay. I'm just trying the basic landing mission, and even using the autopilot, I feel like I'm still screwing things up. It doesn't go to the next waypoint. It doesn't take me to the landing or a return. Let's see, making a mess of everything.
We're going to learn how to navigate to an airfield and land on it.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 navigation modes that we'll be using: en route, return to base, and landing. These submodes are selected automatically at appropriate points along the assigned flight path, but they can also be cycled manually. In this lesson, we'll use the automatic method. I currently have the lesson paused as I explain some of the finer points. Press the spacebar to continue.
1 second, I gotta increase some sensitivity on these things. Man, got some more.
What we'll learn in this lesson is how to navigate to a waypoint using en route mode, switch to return mode automatically, and then switch to landing mode automatically. We're currently in en route mode as indicated in the bottom left corner of the HUD. This mode allows us to fly from waypoint to waypoint in sequence automatically, as we did in the prior navigation lesson. However, in this lesson, we'll try manual selection. Our current waypoint is 0, our starting point, as indicated in the bottom right corner of the HUD with a range of 0. Press left control and tilde to manually select waypoint 1.
All right, so we're currently pointing to waypoint 0. And we're we're at the course line. It's centered up, but the route, I don't know. Do what he wants.
Good. You will now see that waypoint 1 is selected with a range of 8.6 kilometers. Press left control and tilde again to select waypoint 2.
So if we're going to waypoint 1, we're on it and we're on it. We're on the course line. Do we have that cool little map that he gets? See, we don't get to see our... With this, if we do this. Okay. They're not in yellow like his, but cool. That helps a lot. All right. Now, I'm not sure what the white arrow is indicating. I think it means that that is currently the path we're heading. And if we go back to F1, yeah, we're bang on. Control and tilde.
See that waypoint 2 is 15.5 kilometers from us. As we learned in the prior lesson, we can see the direct heading to the waypoint is indicated by the yellow arrow on the HSI, and the twin white arrows indicate our path to fly the course line. Directly above the HSI is the Attitude Director Indicator, or ADI. This is a sphere with one hemisphere white and one hemisphere black. In the center of the ADI is a white aircraft symbol. This aircraft symbol stays stationary in pitch, but will rotate as you maneuver and roll. The ADI ball will move in pitch in relation to the aircraft symbol. When the aircraft symbol center is over black, your nose is below the horizon. If the aircraft symbol center is over white, your nose is pointing above the horizon. Press the space bar to continue.
Okay. Now, I want to intercept the course line at the start of waypoint 2. Right, we're set to waypoint 2. It's over here. So So should I be tracking the course line to 3? Okay, well, never mind. I want to track... And we're supposed to be down. We're 1,920 based on what Elsie was saying. We need to slow down. We're supposed to be at 420 and 1,920 feet. Our ADI... Yeah, it's not... Maybe telling us to go down. We want to get the black bar in the center.
In the center of the ADI are 2 yellow lines to help assist you reach the waypoint via the course line. The course line is a direct line between 2 waypoints. The vertical line indicates your required azimuth steering to reach and maintain the course line. When the yellow vertical line is centered on the ADI, you are flying on or to the course line. If the vertical line is off to either side, put your stick in that direction until the vertical line centers on the ADI and adjust your roll to keep it centered. The yellow horizontal line indicates your elevation course steering. When centered on the ADI, you are flying at or to the set course altitude for that waypoint. If the yellow line, you will first need to intercept the course line between waypoints 1 and 2. Note that the ADI steering bars in the HUD navigation circle provide us the same information. Fly the aircraft to center the ADI steering bars by adjusting the pitch and roll to keep the bars centered on the ADI. Or you can fly to keep the navigation circle on the HUD in the very center of the pitch and bank indicator. The choice is yours. Also remember that the assigned airspeed and altitude for the waypoint are indicated as smaller digits above your current airspeed and altitude. Fly to waypoint 2.
First, you will need to intercept the course line between 1 and 2, and we should be on it. No, now we're not. Okay, it's saying the course line is to port. All right, so it wants us to head, if I get that right, then it wants us to turn and head north to go straight up to intercept. It's not, it doesn't seem to be aiming us to that point that's labeled as 1. It seems to be, now if you were to keep that dotted line moving from 2 to 1 and keep it moving forward past 1, that's where it seems like it's directing us. So like straight up, right? Yeah. Got to get this head tuning fine-tuned. All right, so we're currently heading 30 on the 30 degrees radial. And if we were to continue going this way, we would still intercept it. But again, it seems like it's telling us to turn north. So, and it wants us to slow down a little bit, and it wants us to come down. Okay. All right. Now it's telling us go there. Damn you. Pause. So now we shot way past it. Moving so fast. Yeah, now it's telling us to go to the right. Shit. Now it's to the damn left again. Okay, that's 0. That's crossing it, right? Okay. Now now we're getting onto it. Kinda. Hello. Now we overshot 2. I get it, but the distances are so short. I can't. It's difficult for me to. I mean, I did pretty good there. I mean, we did actually manage to get to the line and turn in the approximate right area. But yeah, at the speed we're flying, that is so hard to make that adjustment, and we still didn't actually accomplish what we needed to do. Again, it still didn't. Once we hit it, it didn't advance to the next waypoint. So what happened there?
In this lesson,
Sorry, I'm going to try to speed through this again as fast as I can. Sorry.
what we'll learn in this lesson is how to navigate to a waypoint you good. You will now see that waypoint 1 is selected with a range of 8.6. You can see that waypoint 2 is 15.5 kilometers from us. As we learned in the prior lesson, we can see the direct heading to the waypoint is indicated by the yellow arrow on the HSI in the
I'm pressing the space bar. It doesn't want to move.
path.
This is one of those one.
Directly above the HSI,
He wants to talk
director indicator
and make it painful for dummies like me.
with one hemisphere white and one hemisphere black. In the center of the ADI is a white aircraft symbol. This aircraft symbol stays stationary. In the center of the ADI are 2 yellow lines to help assist you reach the waypoint.
It's definitely different. I mean, if we were in Microsoft Flight Simulator and I'm just
Direct line between 2
had to tell you about VOR to VOR and hitting radials, and
steering to reach and maintain.
I can do that.
When the yellow vertical line is centered on the ADI, you are flying on or to the course line. If the vertical line is off to either side, put your stick in that direction until the vertical line centers on the ADI and adjust your roll to keep it centered. The yellow horizontal line indicates your elevation course steering. When centered on the ADI, you are flying at or to the set course altitude for that waypoint. If the yellow line is on the lower half of the ADI, push the stick forward until the yellow horizontal line centers on the ADI and adjust pitch to keep it centered. Conversely, if the yellow horizontal line is above, you'll first need to intercept the course line between waypoints 1 and 2. Note that the ADI steering bars in the HUD navigation circle provide us the same information. Fly the aircraft to center the ADI steering bars by adjusting the pitch and roll to keep the bars centered on the ADI. Or you can fly to keep the navigation circle on the HUD in the very center of the pitch and bank indicator. The choice is yours. Also remember that the assigned airspeed and altitude for the waypoint are indicated as smaller digits above your current airspeed and altitude. Fly to waypoint 2.
All right. I am trying to lower our damn speed. And we should be going down instead of up. Alt 6. Alt 6.
Minimum speed.
forward.
Minimum speed. Minimum speed.
The autopilot. All I wanted it to do was follow the route, right? Hey.
Minimum speed.
Oh my. This thing is so trippy,
Minimum
man.
speed.
Come on. Alt 6, Alt 6, Alt 6. But that's not following the HUD. Unless he's going down. He's trying to go down. 1,000 H. Hold the altitude. And we're moving away. I don't know what it's doing. And we're going too fast. And we're upside down. And instead of holding altitude, it's losing it. There it goes. Come on, back up. And we're still losing altitude. And now we're climbing, but we're only supposed to be okay. There we go. That what he was talking about. We went below and it's switching into radar mode. Now I'm not getting any countdown to 2. There goes 9-8. It says it's 2.2 miles away. I've got it on auto, Alt 6 at the moment. Okay. Okay, it hit 0, so now it's turning to...
Nice job. As you may have noted,
it did it.
automatically cycle to waypoint 3. Go ahead and fly to waypoint 3 along the course line and maintain a speed of around 400 kilometers per hour.
Yeah. Oops, H.
Now that you've reached the last en route waypoint, notice the return mode has automatically been selected as indicated as RTN in the lower left corner of the HUD. Your navigation steering will now provide you steering to intercept the instrumented landing system beams at the proper heading and altitude. The airfield return number, in this case MOSDOC, is displayed in the lower right corner of the HUD as number 17. Fly the assigned return navigation.
Off the air brake, but trying to get full flaps, but I don't see full flaps happening. There it goes.
We've now entered the ILS beams and have automatically switched to the landing mode as indicated by the LNDG indication in the bottom left corner of the HUD. The ILS contains a glide slope beam to help guide you vertically, and the localizer beam helps you to guide horizontally. Below the landing indication is a K indication that lets you know that you have captured the ILS beams. The upside down L in the lower left side of the HUD indicates that you are on glide slope. If you have not already done so, reduce your airspeed to less than 400 kilometers per hour and lower your landing gear by pressing G. If you need to, deploy your air brakes by pressing B. Lower your landing flaps by pressing left shift and F. Press the spacebar to continue. Also on the HUD are a large and small circle. The large circle is your director circle. As in other modes, fly the aircraft to center the circle inside the pitch and roll indicator in the center of the HUD. The smaller circle is your glide slope error circle. Like the director circle, you want to center this in the pitch and roll indicator. If the director circle is above the roll and pitch indicator, you are too high, and conversely, if it is below the roll and pitch indicator. If the director circle is left of the center and pitch and roll indicator, it means you are left of the localizer beam, and conversely, if it is right of the roll and pitch indicator. Once on glide slope, use pitch to control your airspeed and throttle to control your altitude.
I'm in auto, so all I should be doing is controlling throttle. Well, like it broke.
You've just passed the outer marker beacon, and your airspeed should be between 290 and 310 kilometers per hour and on glide slope.
But it broke auto. And now it doesn't want to let go.
You have now passed the inner marker beacon, and your airspeed should be between 250 and 270 kilometers per hour.
And it's not responding. You son of a gun.
You just passed the runway threshold. When the radar altimeter indicates 5 meters, reduce the throttle to idle and flare the nose such that the sink rate, as indicated on the right side of the HUD, is between 1 and 2 meters per second. Once all the wheels are on the ground and your speed is below 250 kilometers per hour, release the brake and chute by pressing P. Hold down the W key to apply the wheel brakes until the aircraft comes to a complete stop.
Uh-huh.
Over G, over G, over.
It looks like you got it down. The ground crew is not going to be happy with you.
The chute didn't deploy.
You can end the lesson now by pressing the escape key.
Then it shift P. Just P. All right. Well, I think I kind of get it. There's a lot to do in a very short amount of time to try to do it manually. This one's no fun to watch as a spectator, I think, because everything's so dark. And that's the point of this next one is you're supposed to fly blind pretty much. The good news is this one has like a 50-mile lead up, which gives me a better chance, I think, to try to mess with this.
In the past 2 lessons, we learned the basics of navigation and landing under ideal conditions. In this lesson, we're going to put what you learned to the test by finding an airfield and landing on it at night during a thunderstorm. Sounds fun, huh? Let's turn on the cockpit lighting by pressing L.
First thing it wants is up to 4-5.
We're currently in route mode, but we have no airfield at the final route destination. So let's select return mode by pressing 1.
I don't want to set
As I
5,000.
mentioned in the last lesson, the
5,000.
identification number is displayed in the lower right corner of the HUD. 21 is the ID code for Beslan Airfield, the smallest runway I could find in the game just for you. If you want to get return steering to a different airfield, you can press left control and tilde until you select the airfield you want. A complete list of airfield ID numbers is located in the back of the SU-25T flight manual. For now, let's keep it on 21. Press the spacebar to continue. Using what you learned about course steering through the HUD and ADI, fly the assigned return course that will lead you to the ILS intercept for Beslan Airfield. As you start to descend, you'll probably pick up a lot of speed. Don't forget that you can deploy the air brakes by pressing B.
Okay, 5,000. All right. We want 600 in speed, but we'll pick up speed. Okay, course setting, and it's 46 miles. Right. So the little white thing sticking out then, I guess that's maybe telling us how we need to be turning, and the A itself is pointing the direction we're going. Because it does. We're supposed to if you follow the white thing coming off of us, the course is to our left. If we follow the A as just being straight up, it's to our right. And then here, it's to our right. We're right on it pretty much. Well, it doesn't give you a... I wish there was a better way for me to understand at the moment when you're on it exactly, because the bottom one tells us only distance to... Oh, maybe. Bottom one says 46 miles. That's to the waypoint itself. And the other one says 0.74. Okay. All right, so we're at the right height. Pitch this way a bit. And keep my eye on that thing. 0.72. That doesn't change. And now it says left. And now we're way low. You son of a bitch. Doing Alt 6. Why are you going down?
Minimum speed. Minimum speed. Minimum
Now we're
speed.
super high.
Minimum speed. Minimum speed.
As we get closer to the airfield, I should also mention that not all airfields have Russian ILS, as we had in the last lesson. Airfields that do include Mozdok, Krimsk, Maikop, and Krasnodar Center. Being that Beslan does not have this, you will not have the HUD ILS indications. However, if you look down your HSI, you'll notice a dashed cross in the center and both solid vertical and horizontal lines. The dashed lines are fixed and represent the optimal glide slope and localizer positions for the solid lines. Press the spacebar to continue.
Okay. Miles. Five. Now we gotta come down more. And slow the hell down. But maintain this heading. H. Now we're off. And now it says we're moving away from the localizer. Does that mean it now? Hold on. No, now we're on the wrong end of the localizer again. Confusing stuff, man. See, using the HUD for this doesn't make any sense. Because if you don't follow the needles, now the needle's saying turn this way and line up. This is nuts.
Pull up. Pull up.
Mission.
Son of a gun.
Press escape to end the level.
Of course. Of course, of course, of course. Okay. So, again, I just, whatever. I can't seem to get my head around it to get on point. To get right where you're going to be. I get it in theory. And given, I guess, a lot more room. But... everybody's like, that's okay. You don't really use it that much as you move forward. That's... don't try to make me feel better about sucking. You should be saying, yeah, dude, come on, get it together. Get it together. How long you been at this now? Are you a Skydude or aren't you a Skydude? Yeah, well, man. You can do this and ace this, and you know how to teach the class on this? Would you please help me out here? I hate using the autopilot.
Basics of navigation and landing under ideal conditions. In this lesson, we're going to put what you learned to the test by finding an airfield and landing on it at night during a thunderstorm. Sounds fun, huh? Let's turn on the cockpit lighting by pressing L.
Now I have it in route mode, and I've hit Alt 6. And it's 62 miles. And we're on it.
Currently in route mode, but we have no airfield at the final route destination. So let's select return mode by pressing 1.
Yeah, it's trying to move to...
As mentioned in the last lesson, the airfield identification number is displayed in the lower right corner of the HUD. 21 is the ID code for Beslan Airfield, the smallest runway I could find in the game, just for you. If you want to get return steering to a different airfield, you can press left control and tilde until you select the airfield you want. A complete list of airfield ID numbers is located in the back of the SU-25T flight manual. For now, let's keep it on 21. Press the spacebar to continue. Using what you learned about course steering through the HUD and ADI, fly the assigned return course that will lead you to the ILS intercept for Beslan Airfield. As you start to descend, you'll probably pick up a lot of speed. Don't forget that you can deploy the air brakes by pressing B.
It says we're on it. Flying to it. Still don't understand why that little white bar. I mean, I need somebody to explain how all this works. It's there. It says we're on it. We're on it. Okay. Now it's going into return mode.
As we get closer to the airfield, I should also mention that not all airfields have Russian ILS, as we had in the last lesson. Airfields that do include Mozdok, Krimsk, Maikop, and Krasnodar Center. Being that Beslan does not have this, you will not have the HUD ILS indications. However, if you look down your HSI, you'll notice a dashed cross in the center and both solid vertical and horizontal lines. The dashed lines are fixed and represent the optimal glide slope and localizer positions for the solid lines. Press the spacebar to continue. If the glide slope bar is below the dashed line, you are above glide slope. If it is above the dashed line, you are under glide slope. If the localizer line is left of center, you need to fly to the left. If the localizer is to the right of center, you need to fly to the right. You always fly to the needle.
Now, I thought those bars on the HSI didn't move, but he's saying that they do. So once we hit here, turn mode, four miles. Okay, on the localizer, turning. Slowing down. I thought we were looking at the HSI. I don't see those HSI needles moving yet. Got me. Nope, it's gonna crash again. Folks, that is some frustrating stuff right there. Frustrating as all get up. Guess they're saying sim update 15 is on the way. Just from Obsidian Ant. Small number of airports have been updated. They've added the World Airport Updater, something like that. A new tool called the World Update, blah, blah, blah. Any user can go in and modify an airport. Once done the changes, you can go in and modify an airport. The hub is currently in beta. Oh, that's interesting. So people can go in and modify airports and then upload them to be approved. What I'm getting.
In the past two lessons, we learned the basics of navigation and landing under ideal conditions. In this lesson, we're going to put what you learned to the test by finding an airfield and landing on it at night during a thunderstorm. Sounds fun, huh? Let's turn on the cockpit lighting by pressing L.
Okay, we pressed L.
We're currently in route mode, but we have no airfield at the final route destination. So let's select return mode by pressing 1. As I mentioned in the last lesson, the airfield identification number is displayed in the lower right corner of the HUD. 21 is the ID code for Beslan Airfield, the smallest runway I could find in the game, just for you.
And we've just gone upside down.
Turn steering to a different airfield. You can press left control and tilde until you select the airfield you want.
What
A
the?
complete list of airfield ID numbers is located in the back of the SU-25T flight manual. For now,
Unbelievable. This plane is so difficult to fly. On top of all the other crap we haven't even got to again in the training today. My gosh.
in the past two lessons, we learned the basics of navigation
H.
and landing under ideal conditions. In this lesson, we're going to put what you learned to the test by finding an airfield and landing on it at night during a thunderstorm. Sounds fun, huh? Let's turn on the cockpit lighting by pressing L. We're currently in route mode, but we have no airfield at the final route destination. So let's select return mode by pressing 1. As I mentioned in the last lesson, the airfield identification number is displayed in the lower right corner of the HUD. 21 is the ID code for Beslan Airfield, the smallest runway I could find in the game, just for you. If you want to get return steering to a different airfield, you can press left control and tilde until you select the airfield you want. A complete list of airfield ID numbers is located in the back of the SU-25T flight manual. For now, let's keep it on 21. Press the spacebar to continue. Using what you learned about course steering through the HUD and ADI, fly the assigned return course that will lead you to the ILS intercept for Beslan Airfield. As you start to descend, you'll probably pick up a lot of speed. Don't forget that you can deploy the air brakes by pressing B.
Happy Friday to you. 4:10 in the afternoon here. Kenny's just frustrated as all get up today. Continuing my practice with DCS World, and oh my friends, it just is horrible. It's horrible. I just can't seem to get this stuff through my thick head. Really quite sad. Oh, but when I do, oh, you'll be in for it then. Hope you're having a great, wonderful, and joyous Friday, and looking forward to a great and wonderful and joyous weekend. Let me raise my coffee to you. Cheers. Here's to your health, well-being, and prosperity. Oh, folks, this is so abysmal and painful. It doesn't seem to get any better. It's one of those Groundhog Day nightmares. Coming down to try to make 2, 3. Speed brake on. Maneuvering flaps on. 2.9. Throttle. Turn off the B. Turn this on. We got on speed.
As we get closer to the airfield, I should also mention that not all airfields have Russian ILS, as we had in the last lesson. Airfields that do include...
Okay, so this does not have an ILS.
...in Krasnodar Center.
So it's not going to do anything.
If it does not have this, you will not have the HUD ILS indications. However, if you look down your HSI, you'll notice a dashed cross in the center and both solid vertical and horizontal lines. The dashed lines are fixed and represent the optimal glide slope and localizer positions for the solid lines. Press the spacebar to continue.
Okay, he specifically says right here, look at your HSI. That is the lower steam gauge. The one above it is the ADI. He is specifically talking about the damn HSI. It says the dotted lines don't move, but the horizontal bars should move, and they don't move. The dashed lines are fixed and represent optimal glide slope and localizer position for the solid lines.
If the glide slope bar is below the dashed line, you are above glide slope. If it is above the dashed line, you are under glide slope. If the localizer line is left of center, you need to fly to the left. If the localizer is to the right of center, you need to fly to the right.
So
you always fly to the needle.
Now we're supposed to be at 350 knots. Slow down. Now we're under. Okay, now it's turning. Do it. Disengage the autopilot. Now we're supposed to be turning to the damn runway, right? Okay, rolling out. But now see if the solid lines aren't on the HSI aren't doing anything. This is telling me to go right a little bit. I think I'm starting to see the runway. Again, the solid lines aren't moving. Dotted lines are fixed. They aren't moving. It's telling me to go up and to the right, although this is telling me, I mean, up and to the left. This is telling me to go to the right.
Gear down. Gear down.
Okay, I see it, but full flaps, gear down. Drifting. 290.
As you pass over the inner
Horizontal bars on the HSI aren't moving at all.
south to north. To counter this, input a little left rudder by pressing Z and add a little right bank to keep your nose tracking down the runway.
Coming in too low. Got the parachute deployed.
Looks like you got her down in one piece. You can end the lesson now by pressing escape.
Wow, what a pain in the butt. Okay, so my mistake there, again, is thinking that this one had an ILS at the end of the chain, and it doesn't. Although, did you see any of what he said? The dotted lines are fixed, and the horizontal lines on the HSI should move, tell you about glide slope information, which I don't see. They're still not moved. The horizontal bars were right on the runway. Horizontal bars didn't move at all. If he meant referring to the ADI, that would make more sense. Do.
In this lesson, we're going to learn how to deliver unguided bombs in the Continuously Computed Impact Point mode, or CCIP. Unguided bombs of the SU-25T include the Fab 100, Fab 250, Fab 500, RBK cluster bombs, and BADAB penetration bombs. In this case, I have 2 racks of Fab 100s and a couple of larger Fab 500s. Each of the Fab bombs has a high explosive warhead, and the number in the name indicates the bomb's weight in kilograms. I currently have the lesson in active pause. The first thing I need you to do is select air to ground mode by pressing 7. Do this now. Note that the HUD has changed to remove most of the navigation information and replaced it with bombing symbology. We'll talk more about this soon. You can switch your weapons by pressing D. Try this now. When you cycle a weapon, take a look at the weapon status panel in the bottom center of the front dash. It's the black panel with the shape of a wing along the top. There are 2 rows of lights below it. The top row of yellow lights indicates the weapon stations that have weapons attached to them. And the lower row of green lights indicates weapon stations that are loaded with the currently selected weapon type. In the top right corner of the panel, a B symbol is displayed. This indicates that the selected weapon type is a bomb. You can also see the symbol in the lower right corner of the HUD. By pressing left control and spacebar, you can set the ripple quantity, meaning how many bombs are released when you press and hold the weapon release button or trigger. Try this now. As you cycle ripple quantity, take a look at the weapon control panel in the lower left portion of the front dash. On the panel are 2 knobs. The right knob has positions for X1, X2, X4, and BCE. The position of the knob determines how many bombs will be released, as singles, in pairs, 4 at a time, or all at once. You can set the release interval by pressing V. This determines the time between each bomb release. Longer intervals result in greater spacing between bombs. Those are the basics of configuring your settings for bomb release. Now let's learn how to put those bombs on target in CCIP mode. Using what you learned in the navigation lessons, fly through all the gates ahead. Press the space bar to unpause the lesson. If you are not already, press 7 to enter air-to-ground mode.
So it doesn't follow the route. I got no route. Oh my God, really? You missed gate. Yeah, no doubt. So, in air-to-ground mode, you don't have your route mode. So you can't have it auto-fly gate to gate. The reason why I went in F2 is you got to be able to identify and start committing the look of these weapons into memory. So it's a really good idea.
In this lesson, we're going to learn how to deliver unguided bombs in the Continuously Computed Impact Point mode, or CCIP. Unguided bombs of the SU-25T include the Fab 100, Fab 250, Fab 500, RBK cluster bombs, and BADAB penetration bombs. In this case, I have 2 racks of Fab 100s and a couple of larger Fab 500s. Each of the Fab bombs has a high explosive warhead, and the number in the name indicates the bomb's weight in kilograms. I currently have the lesson in active pause. The first thing you need to do is select air-to-ground mode by pressing 7. Do this now. Note that the HUD has changed to remove most of the navigation information and replaced it with bombing symbology. We'll talk more about this soon. You can switch your weapons by pressing D. Try this now.
Okay, the Fab 100s are the small ones on the outside. The Fab 5s are the 2 big ones on the inside. Those are the Fab
When you cycle a weapon, take a look at the
5s.
weapon status panel in the bottom center of the front dash. is the black panel with the shape of a wing along the top. There are 2 rows of lights below it. The top row of yellow lights indicates the weapon stations that have weapons attached to them, and the lower row of green lights indicates weapon stations that are loaded with the currently selected weapon type. In the top right corner of the panel, a B symbol is displayed. This indicates that the selected weapon type is a bomb. You can also see the symbol in the lower right corner of the HUD. By pressing left control and spacebar, you can set the ripple quantity, meaning how many bombs are released when you press and hold the weapon release button or trigger. Try this now.
Okay, that is the number of bombs, and right now we have 2 of them. Right, so right now we're set to drop 1 at a time.
As you cycle ripple
There's 2 at a, there's both.
Control panel in the lower left portion of the front dash. On the panel are 2 knobs. The right knob has positions for X1, X2, X4, and BCE. The position of the knob determines how many bombs will be released, as singles, in pairs, 4 at a time, or all at once. You can set the release interval by pressing V. This determines the time between each bomb release. Longer intervals result in greater spacing between bombs. Those are the basics of configuring your settings for bomb release. Now let's learn how to put those bombs on target in CCIP mode. Using what you learned in the navigation lessons, fly through all the gates ahead. Press the spacebar to unpause the lesson. If you are not already, press 7 to enter air-to-ground mode. On the HUD, you can see a pipper with a dot in the center. This is your bombing reticle, and we'll use it to aim your bombs. When you're within valid bomb release parameters, indicated by the launch authorization queue on the HUD, the bombs will impact where the bombing reticle pipper is at time of weapon release.
I really wish we could turn off reflections.
Along the left side of the HUD is the range scale bar and caret that indicates the bomb fall range.
Come on. That was deceiving.
In the bottom left corner of the HUD, IP ground is indicated, meaning visual bombing mode is selected. The B in the bottom right corner of the HUD indicates you have bomb selected.
See that?
Ahead and below your nose is a set of trucks marked with red smoke. This will be your aim point. When you fly to the next gate, quickly begin a dive onto the target. Dive now to an angle of 50 to 60 degrees as indicated on the HUD pitch scale. Maneuver the aircraft to place the bombing reticle pipper over the targets marked with the red smoke. When a line is drawn from the top of the bombing reticle and an LA appears at the bottom of the HUD,
Can't get this damn plane.
by pressing the space bar. Control your airspeed by reducing throttle and pressing B to deploy your air brakes.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
Do it.
Nice job, you hit the target. I've added some additional targets marked with green spots. You can continue to practice, or you can end the lesson now by pressing the escape key.
One of those days when you're like, man, I'm just not cut out for this. I just am not. I guess I will suck forever. You know, it wouldn't be so bad. It's one of those, again, this thing's so many years old and they haven't created a new one. And I don't know that they seem inclined to, and nobody seems to be talking about if they're going to remake it. They keep like, we're just going to keep building on this one. Doesn't matter if it's 15 years old. But it really does drive a person crazy when you have to go through these training missions over and over again, and it won't let you quickly move through the information. Like, okay, yeah. And then on the really long ones, when he's talking and it's like 4 paragraphs, those are the worst because you can't move any faster. You have to wait for him to get all the way to the bottom and say, go ahead and try this now. And so it makes it a little bit maddening. I don't know, man. DCS World, I don't know. I don't know if this is for me or not. The dogfighting sounds like a heck of a lot of fun, folks. It really does. Action and combat sounds like a lot of fun. I just don't know if this is the title for me, man. Everybody keeps talking about War Thunder. And it seems to be brand new. So, you know, maybe that's what we're going to need. It's 4:30 in the afternoon. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and, I didn't get as far as I wanted. Today went completely upside down. And we didn't get to do what we wanted to do, which was dogfighting today. Maybe we'll get to do some this weekend. But today was a bust for the dogfighting. Oh, and I got to really fine-tune these, the head tracker a little bit more. I was all over the place. Couldn't focus on what I wanted to as I was doing things. My head was bouncing around too much. There's no fine-tuning there. Like getting my head right in the spot to where I'm looking at the dials. And having to hold my head just in the perfect spot to keep the dials wasn't fun at all. So there's more tweaking to be done there. I hate giving up on anything. It just makes me want to crack down harder, but man. Some tough stuff. You guys have created a heck of a tough game. Amazing stuff. It really is. I mean, I tip my hat to all the people that are good at this. I just tip it and tip it and tip it and tip it and tip it. Tip my hat to you. Wish I could be like you, ooh. We'll go ahead and edit there. Episode 127. It's actually like episode 153. But certain episodes I don't count. If I do like one or more in a day, I'll count them as the same live stream. Like number 1A, number 1B, number 1C. So yeah. All right. Well, if I don't see you this weekend, and if I do end up doing something and live streaming it, I'll post a message. So please like and subscribe. I'd really like you to join in. That's ultimately what I would like to do, is get some people to play with. So I've got Henning and Hannes, right? But the more the merrier. So if you're new to all this too, and you're just struggling like me, hey, let's link arm in arm. I'm definitely not gonna be making fun of your flying if you don't make fun of my flying. And if you want some people that are like me that are just don't know anything yet, we're on equal footing as far as going into doing this. I'd really like to have you join in the dogfights. It really sucks when you are, facing people that have much more experience than yourself. So it's a good time to catch me if you're just starting to learn all this yourself. I guess my question of the day is, do you find this worth it if you play both titles, DCS World and War Thunder? What are your thoughts on each one of them? You know, do you prefer War Thunder over this? Is it better? Is it worse? Is it, you know, easier? What are your thoughts? I would really love to know. Really, really, really. So if you have any comments, I would love to hear them. Please leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Because if you don't feel it's worth it anymore, and we'll get the same bang for our buck or more bang for our buck out of War Thunder, then hey, I'll do it. Okay, folks, I will see you later. Adios.